Welcome to the latest episode of KapVista Klips. Today we are here with Mark and Chris from FirstHx. How are you guys?
Doing well, Daniel. Thank you.
Very good.
Awesome. So you are in Canada, which is, like we mentioned, it's the cold version of Australia. We are almost identical. Just we're hot, you're cold.
I think very true. A lot
Yeah,
of similarities.
yeah. Uh, I want to jump straight into it because I think I want to get into what you're doing. But before we do that, I want to take it back to the start and I want to understand your story and how you got to this point. I want to understand your backgrounds, your experience, and why you are the best team to back. So, Mark, do you want to kick things off? Tell us your story. How did you get to this point, and tell us the foundation origins of FirstHx.
Perfect. Thank you, Daniel. I promise I'll be quick. So it dates back to the mid '90s when I was doing AI and ML and some computer training, and then started med school in the late '90s. At that time, myself, my co-founder Roman Ellenson, we thought of this idea of how to automate medical history taking, and how to basically have the patient do their medical histories prior to seeing us as physicians. And believe it or not, we actually had a prototype working. We ended up getting a research paper and a whole host of other accolades at the time. But for obvious reasons, it did not succeed at that time. But remember, with every failure you have success, right? And so you need to fail to succeed. Um, and at that point, I was finishing my medical training, internal medicine, and then nephrology, and doing some other degrees in informatics. But never lost the dream. And in 2017, resurrected the company, the vision, and the idea of getting this idea of having automated history taking, essentially how to codify the physician mind, how to actually create the digital twin of the physician experiential knowledge. And so at that point, resurrected the company and rebuilt the prototypes, rebuilt a foundation team, but got to a point where I certainly realized I had some significant deficiencies, and that was in business. And this is now rolling around 2020 or so. And at the end of 2020, of course, COVID hit that time. We needed help. And so I was searching for someone, and I was looking for someone like Chris. And fortunately, I was stalking him. It's true. I was looking to see where he was with his current venture. But I think Chris should take over the discussion now, because really the rest is really history, and that was the foundation of FirstHx, the starting story. So, Chris.
So great, and it is a great story in terms of Mark's persistence, Mark's innovation, and the ability he saw something that nobody else saw in terms of that this was the last part of the healthcare system he digitized and the potential impact. And he solved a lot of the foundational problems, like how do you take a history, what parts, and so he persisted. My story is when Mark was working on histories, I founded a company called Think Research. It was centered around order sets or treatment plans for hospitalized patients. I grew that up to a team of 220 people, projects in 8 countries: States, Canada, Iceland, Ireland, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, India at one point in time. It was a huge amount of fun. Went public at the end of 2020. And so I had an exit. And then I had the great good fortune, Mark gave me a call a month later and said, hey. And I just thought, I love the team. Mark and Roman was great. And I loved the problem they were working on. And it was very similar to I'd been working on structured knowledge based order sets, but this was about making the history structured and knowledge based. So I dove right in. It was great.
Amazing. So you've had a history in the medical field. You knew um, the problems that you were facing, and you're building a solution. And I like the fact that you started it. It wasn't the right time. You put it on the shelf, and then you had that passion to say, "Look, now's the right time. Let's restart it." And then, Mark, uh, from your point of view, you got it to a point. You're like, "I'm not the best person to take this to beyond, I need to find the best person. And that is, I think that is a really valuable attribute to understanding your limitations and bringing someone in who can take your baby to the next step. So what were the pain points that you were solving? What was the real in the day to day, and put it into context so investors can understand, why you're solving what you're solving.
Chris, do you want to take that?
You want me to take it, or do you want to take it?
Sure, you could take that one. That's fine.
Sure. The problem we're solving is the medical interview. Everybody on this call has visited their family doc or some other doc, and after they say, "Hey, nice to see you, Daniel," the first thing they start doing is asking you questions, about your problem. When did the pain start? What makes it better? What makes it worse? Those questions and the answers that you give, that process is called the medical interview or taking a history. A few things about this. It's part of every medical journey. So unless you're wheeled into the emergency department unconscious, all journeys start with one of these things. Two, super critical. That information that is obtained through that interview is the foundation for diagnosis, treatment, navigation, triage. Pretty much anything related to patient care is informed by the data that's collected by that process. And then the third point is that if we took your great grandmother out of the midst of time, dropped her into the exam room, she would not recognize much because it's all digitized, but she would recognize the interview because it's an unstructured analog process. As a result, it is unbelievably slow. It is often low quality, and it often doesn't meet the needs of patients. Patients are unhappy because they feel rushed, interrupted, and they don't get their story across. So nobody's being served well by this. And so Mark's insight is, well, what if we built a digital twin of the physician clinician mind, incorporating the scientific knowledge, incorporating the experiential knowledge, because that's super important, and the healthcare system knowledge, all in this digital twin. And now we could deploy this digital twin like on your smartphone. And so the interview could be conducted before you see your clinician. And then so that once you've completed it on your smartphone or tablet, and there's a few details around that, but once it's completed, so when you walk through that door, your physician already has your history in front of them, and then that's where the good thing. So that's the core problem that's being solved.
Okay, yes. So I think that is standard worldwide. I mean, at least it's the same process here in Australia as it is, in Canada, as it is in the US, as it is in the UK. So that
Everywhere.
process is the same, and that's
100%.
yeah,
Absolutely. Everywhere, always the same. Physicians need data. Patients have the data in their brain. It's just we need an effective way to extract that information from patients in a time limited way. And so the patients do it for us. Essentially, that's what it is.
okay. And then tell me about launch until now. What milestones have you achieved? What's some of your big wins and successes?
So I guess high level, 1.2 million patient visits. So this thing has been used a lot. We have about 60 clients. We are in market mostly in Canada at this point in time at a variety of virtual care and then bricks and mortar primary care and specialty clinics. We have early projects in the United States and then in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. So that's the the other big milestone I would say is technology. When I showed up with Mark and the team, we decided they built a prototype that worked really well and validated the idea of history taking. And we used it for a number of years, but it was clear that it wouldn't be able to support the next generation features we wanted. So we rebuilt it from scratch, which was a huge amount of work. So we did that over a couple of years, went live with the new generation product a year ago, have spent the last year sort of building it out and building the next generation features. And now we're ready to go to market with the newly coded, newly developed product.
Okay. Now, you've got a history, you've proven the technology, you've got 1.2 million visits, 60 clients. What are the next things that you're looking to achieve in, let's say, the next 12 to 18 months? And your raise is funding, the use of capital. It's going to be, for the next 12 to 18 months. But what does that look like? What is that path, and what are the milestones you're looking to achieve?
You want to take that, Mark?
It's a great question. The main milestone is we need effective deployment of our technology across multiple types of clients. So the main thing is to grow the number of clients and client base, particularly in the American market, the Australian market as well. So we do have ideas of how to expand worldwide, but it's to expand, it's to get our next generation features out there. Specifically, we've got a pharma product and partnerships with big pharma and pharma to do automated real-time clinical inclusion exclusion of patients. So you can imagine that is a large
Mm.
one. In terms of other ones, Chris, other milestones we'd like to do in terms of team growth. Yes.
Yeah, we would obviously we'd like to expand and grow our installed base in Canada, the States, the Middle East. We're looking potentially we've got opportunities in Turkey, and it'd be great to throw Australia into that mix as well too. We just signed a contract with one of Canada's largest home care providers, so deploying into the home care space. We just signed our first deal with the contract research organization. We're the only solution that I'm aware of anywhere that can take a patient's history and screen, ask the questions related to a clinical trial. And then if you're eligible for the clinical trial, then flag that in the report. We've talked to a number of CROs and pharma companies. They are super interested in that.
Yeah.
And so we see that as an area of it's almost its own product and its own vertical under its own right. But we see that as a major opportunity.
So this is opening up additional revenue channels for you.
100%. And certainly by 18 months, we definitely like to be 5 million ARR, and we'd like to be cash flow positive
Okay.
by that time.
So in the next 18 months, you're aiming to be 5 million ARR, cash flow positive, expanding internationally, opening up additional revenue channels. This is
Yeah.
exciting. This is not just your your company is past that pre-launch. You've tested the market. You've got market validation. You've got 1.2 million visits. Patient visits. This is an established company that just needs to pour fuel on the fire to explode.
We go to market is the key here. Now it's all about expansion and growth. So we've built the device, we've built the system, we know the markets. We need money for growth. We don't need money for producing the product.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about the raise. How much you're raising? What's the use of funds for? As you said, you've got a plan over the next 18 months, but drill down into it. You said you're looking for personnel. What sort of people are you looking to hire? And then, as you're using for growth, is there any specific sort of clients that you want to bring on board? Any sort of partnerships?
I'll take the first part about the raise specifically and what we're trying to what we need for this specific round. So we're raising 2.5 million US dollars. We're open to more, but that is the minimum. The current amount of the raise that we do have a portion that's already been committed.
Mm-hmm.
We're in terms of what we'd like to spend the money on. We need to hire more client success people, some more integration people. It's really the people that support the clients and the growth.
Okay.
That's what we need to use the funds for. In terms of other tech resources, Chris, do we need specifics with that? We've got mostly everything there, but we can always build and innovate and spend money on more tech. But it's really client and growth, right?
Yeah, 100%. And in terms of our go-to-market, at some point in time, we're looking at hiring sort of a senior figure like a head of growth or a VP. Our initial hires are going to be people who have sector-specific domain expertise. So we'll hire somebody who has deep pharmaceutical and contract research organization. So we'll hire somebody in that market. We'll hire somebody in, say, cardiology. I'm speaking at the American Heart Association conference in a couple of weeks, and so there's a big opportunity there. And so I could sort of go around the table in terms of using those domain-specific account reps to start our growth out, and we see that as a big opportunity. And then also in our international markets as well, our opportunities right now in the GCC in the Middle East are phenomenal. Like we're speaking to, I won't mention who they are on this public call, but I'm happy to mention we are speaking to some of the largest healthcare organizations in the Middle East. And we see that as a gargantuan opportunity just in its own right.
Okay, brilliant. And then in terms of growth over the next 18 months, what does your ideal customer or partnership look like? Because what we're trying to ascertain is some of the investors that may be interested in this could have the prior relationships and could open doors for you.
We'd love it. So we have a number of ideal RICPs, virtual care platforms. We're integrated with the largest virtual care platform in Canada. It works really well there. That's good. Primary care, very useful in primary care. We can integrate with ambient scribes. We've got 2 partnerships. We're just about to announce a third. So that's a great channel partnership. And so we're very interested in that, or digital front doors. Specialty clinics, particularly medical specialty clinics. So respirology, gastroenterology, rheumatology, where they take complicated histories and precision matters. Precision is important. And then hospitals. We're just about to announce. We're signing up 3 hospitals in the Greater Toronto area. 2 of them will be signed at the end of this week. We're joining the Can Health Network, which is a group of 40 hospitals across Canada, which basically pre-procures us, gets the red tape out of the way. We've just going to ink a deal with the Ontario OBIO, which is an Ontario government agency, which is funding us. So we see all of those as, markets that are ripe for expansion.
And last one is pharma. So we did sign a pharma clinical trial company, our first one. We are speaking to some of the larger pharma companies soon, within the next few weeks, to do and hope to be able to do some of their automated real-time clinical inclusion exclusion of patients. So that we see as a significant growth market. Yeah.
Amazing. And then just before I let you go, is there anything that you want that you think investors should know? Anybody who's watching this video, anything that you want to let them know before you get a chance to speak to them? Any investor-worthy points, any wins, any news or announcements that you want to put in front of the audience before they get a chance to speak to you too?
I'll say some, and then you can say some. We have a lot. I'll go first. So the first thing to say is that patients really love this solution. Okay, so they love telling their story. 97% patient satisfaction rating. That's significant. The other one is physicians also really love the solution, and it's important because as physicians, I interact with the output. I don't interact with the system, and that's an important one because it's someone else doing the work for me, and then I get to come in and complete that work with my expertise. I get to talk to the patient. Now I have more time available to speak to them about diagnosis and treatment, as opposed to the time I spend collecting the information. Now we've got really, really good doctor-patient relationship at that point. The other one is efficiency, significant clinical efficiency that we now see is at 25% efficiency gain. So these are all key points. Chris has more, and I think he should fill in some more.
Well, I guess I think that my final thought from an investor perspective is, think about the last time you saw your physician. Did you have a digital twin conducting an adaptive smart interview before you saw them? And I've yet to have anybody raise their hand. I know there's thousands of people on this call, but at this point in time, it is mostly an empty space. And you don't come across that very often. So I think there is a huge opportunity because interviews are done everywhere, because we can't support clinical trials, because we can't support big pharma, you name it. Pretty much every process is supported by it. So I think there is a huge opportunity. The space is open for the taking, and we're going to go as fast as we can to grab as much of the space as we can. And so that's why we're trying to raise money.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I won't take up too much more of your time. Thank you very much for jumping on. This has been great. It's been highly informative, and it's exciting to hear what you're doing.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you so much. This was great. Appreciate your time and look forward to answering your questions. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thanks, Daniel.
Bye.
Thank you.